Hello, my dear friends. Why am I fasting, and how do I feel, and what do you recommend? I'm fasting for mostly religious purposes, to ask God's universe to help me get reunited with my children. And some of you, of course, want to do water fast for health reasons. So this video applies to everybody, and please pray for me. I so need help. It's been a very, very terrible year. And the 14th was the anniversary of terrible events in my life. And I was forced fasting at that time. My soul felt in advance that something terrible is about to happen, and I have made a choice, a conscious choice, that I will go through that experience like a lamb to the slaughter. I'm sure Jesus knew exactly what he's going to go through. I knew, my soul knew what I am about to go through. It's been absolutely terrible, but apparently it's through severe suffering that we become better humans. And that's why we come to this planet. So I'm fasting and I'm praying, and I'm fasting on water Sunday. For health, as far as the health situation, you're not going to starve, you're not going to die unless you completely deplete your minimal deposits of fat. Basically, when you switch to fasting from a normal food, what happens is within about 24 hours, sometimes sooner, your insulin goes down, down, down. Insulin is that hormone that clears out your blood supply from sugar, from glucides, from glycogen and glucose, and that's what you want to deplete. The problem with American society and modern world is your insulin never goes down anymore, except maybe for a few hours of sleep, because people are constantly eating. They're told to eat often, and that's the worst recommendation one can follow if you're trying to lose weight and be healthy, because every time you eat, your insulin shoots up. Insulin is that guy that pushes that glucose is into the fat cell, pushes that new fat that's created by liver into the fat cell. And while it's pushing those guys into your fat cells to expand, it tells no fat expenditure. We're not going to use your supplies because we have all these new supplies. We're not going to open up our freezer, our storage of fat. We're just going to shove new. I don't know if you can visualize guys in Japan that their job is to push people in the metro car because there's never enough space. That's what insulin does. And insulin is your enemy when you are trying to lose weight. That's why people who are diabetic, they have to take insulin as they don't produce enough of their own, or they have developed severe insulin resistance, so they take insulin. If they don't, sometimes they forget to take insulin and they don't have anybody pushing that supply, they will lose weight, but they can also die. It's scary disease. And fasting, actually, not a doctor, but I've watched a lot of medical conferences, including Jason Fung. Fasting does reverse diabetes too. And there are medical centers you can do it supervised. I really recommend if you know somebody suffering from diabetes or other disease. But in my case, it's of course spiritual fast, but so that you understand what Jason Fung, I've researched what you need to do. Of course, it is important to have some electrolytes. I try to add some sea salt. I just pick up the sea salt, natural sea salt, without caking agents, without the chemical crap. I buy natural salt without additives, and I just, dip my finger in it and just lick the finger so that I don't collapse. You have to have some electrolytes. Potassium, magnesium is important supplement when you're fasting. If it's very hard for you, you can also follow fast mimicking diet. I think it's like 200 calories or so a day, but it gets the same results. And it's 200 calories of insulin neutral foods. If you Gosh, if you have a little tiny piece of bread, maybe it's less than 100 calories, but it will shoot out your insulin resistance. You'll get out of fasting immediately. And if you stay in fasting, and that's something that all the religions, all the prophets agreed on, Muhammad, Buddha, Jesus, they all did the fasting, Moses. It's not just spiritual benefits, it's health benefits, and health and spirituality is connected. So as I cleanse out the negativity and low vibrations of food and chemicals and poisons and pesticides out of my body by not partaking of any food, my spirit also elevates. As my spirit and my vibrations elevate, so is my opportunity to connect with higher powers, to connect with angels, with spirit guides and gods. And I really hope they will hear my prayers, as I miss my children tremendously. And it's inhumane to keep the mother away from her children and not let me even text message my children. It's really, really terrible what's going on. But I love and I miss my children, and I keep praying. And please pray for me. I guess that's the only thing I can ask, because nobody wants to help. But at least if you say a prayer, I appreciate it. Fasting benefits. So most of us over a certain age, over 30, we start to accumulate fat in our organs, like fatty liver. So that's, and when that gets full, then you have fat going over it and spilling into your gut area, in between your organ area. I'm not saying inside your gut, but outside of your gut, inner gut, to the organ area, liver, kidneys, etc. So you want to eliminate, this is the most dangerous visceral fat. It's not something that you have outside, it's something inside, and it's deadly. Within 48 to 72 hours of your water fasting, that fat starts to diminish, which is wonderful. As your fat starts to diminish, obviously your insulin is down, your glucagon is up, you start breaking down the fat. And that fat holds a lot of emotion, a lot of heartache, and a lot of poisons, a lot of heavy metals, because your body doesn't know how to process them, how to eliminate them. So it just wraps the toxins in fat. So try to take some chlorella for the night, some activated charcoal for the night. That could help your body eliminate some of the heavy toxic load that you're now going to be experiencing, and you don't have the fiber to help clear it out, such as parsley. So at least to take some charcoal to eliminate toxins. And another fasting advice for you is to maybe, unless you're doing for religious purposes like me, take a little bit of fiber, in the non-soluble fiber that your body cannot process, but the bacteria can process. The reason is to help your microbiome survive. Microbiome is up to 5 pounds that we have, and it controls everything. The way you lose weight, the way you gain weight, the way you think, the way your personality is 90% your gut microbiome. It's your second brain, your spinal brain. It's to connect the microbiome. So you don't want to kill the good guys. Your microbiome diversity is important. So what you want to do is maybe have some sauerkraut, non-sugar one, please, or just that fiber that you can buy, Sicilian, I think, organic one, of course. And I don't know, possibly broccoli stalks where you don't have the sugar, of course, not cooked one, just raw. Maybe pickles. Just check that there's no sugar in any of those products and no carbohydrates. Your fiber is sometimes listed as carbohydrates, but then it will list the fiber. So if, let's say, something says 2 grams of carbs per 100 grams, but those 2 grams are your fiber, or 1.5 grams of fiber, you're okay, because your body would not be able to get any sugar out of it. It's not something that the body can process, but microbiome will. So even a little bit, like 50 grams of that could help your microbiome survive. And when your microbiome is surviving and happy, you're not gonna get such a tremendous hunger signals. And by the way, your hunger subsides over time. So it's a process, and I'm hoping that I'll keep recording so you can see my journey and you can see my spiritual progress, and hopefully the light in my eyes and the energy out of and vibration of my heart will be able to reach who we need to reach, so they can finally say maybe it's enough of her suffering. Literally, guys, I've suffered for so many years with chronic Lyme, with abuse, with neglect, and everything that possibly could have happened. So I'm hoping that God will say, well, maybe that's enough. Maybe we need to step in and help her. So I'm praying and hoping that it will finally be enough, and better times will begin for me with love and positivity, and wishing everybody to go through their suffering, through their isolation, and victim experiences, and emerge as victors, because that's who we are. We are here on this planet to learn. We are victors. We are here because we've done something in spirit world to deserve to come to this very difficult planet for very difficult lessons on this earth school illusion. But it feels so real and so painful sometimes, but it will get better, I promise. Namaste, with love, from Azure Coast, from my place of isolation. Anastasia, please subscribe. Ciao, ciao.